The Friday Night Funkin' vs. Gorefield mod just dropped, and a lot of people are interested in the backstory of Gorefield, so I'm going to go ahead and explain that to you and also give you some fun facts about his character and his lore in general, and just explain the concept of the mod. Now, I'm sure that you all probably know this, but this character Gorefield is obviously based off Jim Davis's character Garfield. It's just that he is basically nightmare fuel. He's like Garfield if Meat Canyon got a hold of him. Now, if the mod is based off the actual lore of Gorefield, it basically goes like this. Odie is the first victim of Gorefield, being killed outside of the house, and now Gorefield is basically trying to make his way into the house to kill John. In the Friday Night Funkin' mod, it seems like Gorefield is actually able to get into the house, but of course Boyfriend is there to back John up, and they commence into the rap battle. Now, we don't really get to understand the relationship between John and Boyfriend and why Boyfriend is even there in the first place, but as always, Friday Night Funkin' has their fingers in everything, so it just says that John and Boyfriend are allies, so he's there to help out. Now, something I found very interesting about Gorefield is that he's originally from the Gorefield Horrorscopes series, and this is basically an ongoing series made by Lumpy. And basically, as a viewer, you get to pretend that you are John, and depending on your zodiac sign, a different version of Garfield will technically be after you. So since there's 12 different zodiac signs, that means that there's 12 different versions of Gorefield, and I'm going to go over each of those for you here. Let me know down in the comments which zodiac sign you are and which Gorefield will be after you. The first Gorefield that we're going to cover is going to be the Aries Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthday fall between March 21st and April 19th. Aries Gorefield is super creepy looking. He basically has these two ram horns coming out of his head, and he has these human-like arms and wings, and a lot of people say that he looks like Lucifer, and in a way it makes sense when you look at the backstory for Aries Garfield. He's basically a fallen angel, and it seems that he's had 8 of his 9 lives taken away from him, and the only way that he can continue to live is if he takes the dreams of other people. And something that you're going to notice with all the Gorefields is that, of course, the person that they want to kill the most is always going to be John. The next Gorefield that we're going to talk about is going to be Taurus Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between April 20th and May 20th. Taurus Gorefield looks like a mix between a bull and a lizard. He has these crazy bull horns coming out of his head that connect at the middle to like some type of orb, and he also has this ring in his nose very reminiscent of actual bulls. He's one of the more powerful versions of Gorefield, being a elder god from like the outskirts of the cosmos, but what makes him interesting is that he's one of the least violent ones as well. The only thing that he really wants is knowledge. This version of Gorefield believes that the more it can learn, the more it'll grow and radiate brilliance. Something I find very interesting about this version of Gorefield as well is that it's not simply just trying to hoard knowledge. This version is actually willing to share his knowledge out with John, but he has to give him some knowledge back. He is very much like that Daedra from Skyrim, that giant eyeball. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. The next Gorefield that we're going to talk about is going to be the Gemini Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthday fall between May 21st and June 20th. Now, this version of Gorefield is definitely one of the stranger looking ones. He basically has 3 heads, and his body is sitting on this serpentine type tail. Apparently, this version of Garfield merged with his twin brother when they were in the womb, and this resulted in them becoming this monstrosity. Interesting ability that this version of Garfield has, though, is that he can turn into John at will. And his whole goal is to basically take away John's individuality because he had his stripped away in the womb. Way darker than I was expecting from this. Next on our list is going to be Cancer Garfield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between June 21st and July 22nd. Cancer Garfield, of course, has the body of a crab. He low-key reminds me of that crab from Moana, the one that sings Shiny, only a lot more devilish. Apparently, Cancer Garfield was found on an island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He has psychic abilities and was apparently preying on sailors in the area. Something I love about this version of Gorefield is that he can use his psychic abilities to plant a thought in your mind that you are more talented than you actually are, and then he uses your own cockiness, your own hubris in order to exploit your weaknesses. Next up, we have the Leo Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthday falls between July 23rd and August 22nd. And of course, Leo Gorefield looks exactly like a lion, but not just a regular lion. It's one of those old school stone lions like you would see in Japan. Leo Garfield was basically brought to life by a sculpture that was dying. Leo Gorefield is after John because he realizes that John is identical to the sculpture that created him. So in order to test his worthiness or his valor, he summons these undead spirits and he sends them after John. The sad part about this is that even if John is able to kill one of the spirits, he'll just summon another one and they'll just keep hunting John down continuously. Next up on our list, we have Virgo Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between August 23rd and September 22nd. Now, Virgo Gorefield is definitely one of the creepier ones Garfields because at first glance, all you see is a naked woman trying to cover herself up, but as you look closer, you'll realize that that's actually Garfield's tongue. He's like one of those creepy deep water anglerfish. He just uses this lady as bait in order to drag people in. Virgo Garfield's ability is very dangerous because he can basically transform his tongue into anybody that you desire. And the idea is that he'll make you fall in love with that person, and once you get close, he'll just devour you. Now, even though he's one of the more vicious versions of Gorefield, his backstory is actually one of the saddest. He basically fell in love with a cat from the wrong neighborhood, and he ended up getting his head chopped off. Now he's back basically as an angry ghost, and he's feeding on other people's love and passion. So basically, he's catfishing people so that he can make them feel the heartbreak that he felt. Next up on our list is going to be Libra Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between September 23rd and October 22nd. Libra Gorefield is definitely one of the more interesting looking Gorefields on this list. He's basically a giant scale of justice. And what's even creepier about this is that inside of those scales, you actually see the body of his victims. And it basically goes like this. If you don't have a net karma of 0, meaning that you didn't do too much good, but you also didn't do too much bad, you're just balanced, Libra Gorefield will basically punish you. The backstory of Libra Gorefield is that basically he was created back in the Renaissance time by a genius inventor, and he was supposed to help shepherd humanity into an age of enlightenment, but he ended up becoming jaded along the way and thought that people just weren't worthy of it. Next on our list is going to be the Scorpio Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between October 23rd and November 21st. Scorpion Gorefield, of course, looks just like a typical scorpion, but he's definitely not normal. Basically, he was created in some type of government facility that worked with gene splicing, and the scientists were able to create this scorpion-like creature that was able to insert images of your own death into your mind. So even though Scorpion Gorefield does have these huge pincers, he also has that poison tail. He doesn't even need to use any of that in order to kill people. Next on our list is going to be Sagittarius Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays are between November 22nd and December 21st. Now, Sagittarius Gorefield is one of the few versions of Gorefield to actually get to keep his face relatively intact, but he does have the body of a centaur, it would seem. He actually has the cutest origin story because he was brought to life by a child's wish. Now, the issue is that he thinks that the child that brought him to life is actually John. And what makes that even worse is that he's addicted to gambling. And his special power is called Fortune, where basically he shoots an arrow at somebody and he's able to manipulate their luck, making them either very lucky or very unlucky. Now, the issue here is that he loves to play games of chance and gamble with people's lives when he gives them that unlucky debuff, making it to where it's very likely that they will not succeed. Next up on our list is going to be Capricorn Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays are between December 22nd and January 19th. Capricorn Gorefield just seems to be a mix of a couple of animals here. He has a goat head, of course, and those weak little goat legs, but he also has a fish tail slash body. He also has a pentagram in the middle of his forehead with a flame that's constantly lit on the top of his head. He was created by a cult that was attempting to communicate with beings from a different plane, and since the cultists opened up that pathway, he was able to work his way into our reality and spread his message of violence. Capricorn Gorefield is interesting because he's also able to communicate with people through the television and also through radio signals. This is dangerous because he's able to hit you with these subliminal messages that make you do things that are self-destructive or can cause yourself harm. Next up on our list is going to be Aquarius Garfield, and this is for people whose birthday falls between January 20th and February 18th. Now, funny enough, Aquarius Garfield is basically just an elongated version of Garfield, and he also has a couple of fins that are added to his body, but nothing else really changes about him. Apparently, he was always a creature of the sea, but the magic jar that he's holding is what kind of changed and morphed his body. The only thing that he's looking for now is just companionship, and apparently John ended up saving his life on accident, and now Gorefield believes that they are best friends. Now, this gets really bad because Gorefield is actually obsessed with John, and he also has the ability to sneak, and he's pretty much undetectable. So he's basically able to stalk John and make his life miserable unless John gives him his own blood. Last on our list is going to be Pisces Gorefield, and this is for people whose birthdays fall between February 19th and March 20th. Now, Pisces Gorefield looks like a devilish shark type creature. He has all these wounds on his body like he's been hunted or he's been in a ton of fights, and he has a full mouth of just jagged teeth. Apparently, he was worshipped as a rain god back in the day, and now he's just an admirer of all type of art, and he'll even go as far as to sink an entire city in order to preserve that beautiful artwork. Now, the issue here is that when he finds things aesthetically pleasing, he wants to add them to his collection. So in this sense, John design is something that he finds aesthetically pleasing. Pisces Gorefield power is called Downpour, and basically he's able to make it rain, and if the person gets completely wet, he gets transported to a cell where he'll basically be Pisces Gorefield's property forever. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the video here where I fully explain the Vivian Plague mod, or check this video out here where I fully explain all the corrupted Pibby characters. Thank you for watching. This is Orseofkorse. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and we'll see you next time. Peace, peace.